Hey, friends, it's Diana McAlintle.
And Nick Wagner, again.
Again, yes.
We got booted off somehow.
This is take 2 of our Team RCIA Tuesday Facebook chat, where we talk about all things RCIA. Hopefully, Facebook doesn't kick us off again.
Yeah.
Sorry, Facebook, whatever we did. Anyways, today we're home again. Last week we were traveling. We were traveling, right?
We were traveling. We were in some airport somewhere.
I can't even remember where we've been.
We were in Nashville.
Was it Nashville?
Yes.
Okay. Nashville was great.
It was.
We love Nashville.
We had hot chicken, which is a thing.
Yes. And we listened to great music.
Yeah.
And we basically ate our way through Tennessee as well as Kentucky.
We drank our way through Kentucky with the bourbon.
So thank you, all of our Nashville and Louisville friends. But we're home in San Jose. And this week, we're going to be talking about vocations.
Yeah, but not vocations like you think. Vocations like your entire parish, everyone in your parish has a vocation. And part of our role as RCA teams is to help our parishioners understand, first of all, that they have a vocation, and then to live up to that vocation. And that them living up to and living out their vocation is crucial for our RCIA ministry. And that's why we want to talk about this today.
Yeah. And so growing up, all of us, I'm guessing myself, had considered a vocation to being a nun or a priest or some other thing. And I all thought that vocations were just about those kinds of people, really, really, really holy people. Because every year we'd get the vocations talk, during the homily. We'd get somebody from the chancery office coming in to encourage all the little kids to pursue a vocation. But then eventually my childhood understanding grew into adulthood understanding of what vocation really means. And apparently all of us have a vocation that we receive at baptism. And it's the vocation upon which all other vocations are built. And I think that's really important for us in RCIA ministry, because there's been a tendency, I think, to imagine that the real Catholics, the people who are really living out their Catholicism, are the ones who wear the collars or the ones who wear the habits or whatever it is that they have become in their vocation, a priest, a brother, a sister, a deacon. But we have to turn that around and remind all of the baptized that we have to live our apostolic vocation in order to draw people into Christ, in order to initiate them into the body of Christ.
So you grew up 1 or 2 years after I did. So,
yeah.
So by the time, during your childhood, the understanding, the teaching of Vatican II, our realization that all the baptized have a vocation, that was a bit more prominent, perhaps. When I was growing up, I grew up going to Latin Mass. And so Vatican II happened during my childhood. And then, we really didn't start getting the popular understanding of Vatican II that drifted down to ordinary folks like us, really didn't start happening until the 70s. And I graduated from high school in 1976. So I remember as a junior in high school, so about 75 or so, having this kind of awakening of my faith. And it wasn't big, dramatic, Paul in Damascus getting knocked off his horse kind of thing, but it was gentle. But still, for me, it was a new way of seeing things, a new way of being a Christian, a new understanding. And so because of my personality, who I am, that led me to read a lot. So I started reading the Bible, I started reading spiritual writers, and I started reading the documents of the Second Vatican Council. And it was in those documents, and especially the document on the laity, that I realized as a baptized person, I had an apostolic vocation. And apostolic comes from apostle. Apostle is one who gives a message or brings a message. And so my job was to, as I understood it from Vatican II, was to be a messenger of the good news of Jesus. And that really had an impact on me as a teenager. And that kind of shaped my life. And I never felt a quote unquote vocation to become a priest or anything like that. But I did feel real strongly this vocation to be an apostle, to be an apostolic messenger of the good news.
Yeah. And that specific Vatican II document you're talking about, I think is called the Decree on the Apostolate of the Laity.
Yes. Right.
And it uses that word, apostolate. And we hear that, we read that word in the RCIA text itself all over the place. And we have to understand that word within this context, that it's the vocation of all of the baptized. And that is what gives us this apostolate, this responsibility. And so there's a really interesting paragraph in that document. I remember reading it myself, and it says something pretty close to the beginning of the document. Something like, if any, the apostolate of the laity is so important, so important to the effectiveness of the vocation of the ordained, that if the apostolate of the laity does not function, if any of us don't do our job in the laity, then it significantly impacts and makes ineffective the work of priests and deacons and those who are called to ordained ministry. So, and there's even one line that says, if anyone in the apostolate doesn't fulfill their own mission, they're almost pretty much they're worthless.
I'm sure it doesn't say
it does
worthless.
not say that, but it's almost like, they're not really contributing anything to the body of Christ. It's pretty, it doesn't say worthless, but it's pretty important and significant.
So look that up. You can Google it,
Yeah.
Apostolate on the Laity, Decree on the Laity from Vatican II, and it'll come up and you can read that. But the important thing for RCI teams to understand about this is, when I started my RCI ministry about 10 years after that, so in my mid-20s or so, I got it. As I said, I was pretty clear that I had a vocation, and my vocation was to deliver the good news, to be the messenger of the good news. What was not clear enough to me when I started out in this ministry was sort of the equal responsibility that all the other parishioners had. And I took on that role because I felt, I don't know, like I'd gotten it, or I was enlightened, or I had an insight or something. And I took that on, and I tried to form an RCI team that would do that and all. And what I wrote about this in a previous blog post on our website. The mistake that I made was I felt like the rest of the parish, most of the parishioners weren't that excited about their faith, or weren't that interested in. Maybe that was true, but it doesn't change their job description, and it doesn't change my responsibility to be attentive to their job description, to be apostles, to be messengers of the good news. And so the key for RCI teams, I think, when we start as RCI leaders, when we start forming teams, we think of the 2 or 3 or 5 or maybe even 10 or 12 people that we're going to draw out of the parish to be sort of like super apostles, the folks who are going to really represent the faith to the catechumens. And that, I think, is misemphasizing where the team is. The primary RCI team is the rest of the parish. And they, as Diana said, they have this important, crucial role for carrying out their apostolic vocation. And by doing that, just by being Catholic to the best of their ability, that in itself is primarily what forms the catechumens and the faith.
I like that, super apostle. If you don't have a Halloween costume yet, there's an idea, super apostle. Let me read to you just what the RCIA says. So here is the RCIA text for the United States. Mine is literally falling apart. See that? It's crazy. But here's paragraph 9. It says within paragraph 9, the community must always be fully prepared in the pursuit of its apostolic vocation, there it is, to give help to those who are searching for Christ. And so the entire community must help the catechumens and candidates throughout the process of initiation. The entire community is your RCIA team, not just the leader, not just the pastor, but every single baptized member of your parish is on your team.
So I think it's, as I said, I think our primary job as RCA team members is not to be the ones who kind of deliver the faith to the catechumens. Yeah. I mean, that's part of it. But the bigger part, the most important part, is to be coaches or mentors to the parish at large, to help them live out their apostolic vocation, to take on their primary role as baptized people, to be responsible for the initiation of new members into the community.
We say this everywhere we go. And people will say, oh, yeah, we do that. We get parishioners to come into the RCIA meeting every Wednesday night, and they give a little presentation on how they live their baptism or what ministry they're doing in the parish. And it's great. We get all of these people from the parish coming in to the RCIA to talk about their own faith. And I think that's wonderful. But that's still not exactly what living out one's apostolic vocation is about. You have to take your RCIA out into the wilds of your parish to see where all of your parishioners are living out their apostolic vocation within their daily life, within the life of the parish, not within your RCIA meeting. So it's really turning it upside down. So the RCIA gives us 4 very specific ways, especially during the period of evangelization and the pre-catechumenate, how every single one of your parishioners can live their apostolic vocation.
So we're gonna cover these 4. You can find these in paragraph 9.1 in your RCI text. And we've kind of changed the language a little bit here, but you can find these ideas right in the RCIA. And as Diana said, this is for the very first period of the RCI, the period of evangelization, which we're always in. Some people say they don't have a year-round catechumenate. Well, you always have evangelization. You're always in that period. So the first thing we want to do is challenge our parishioners to live outwardly what it is that they believe. The RCI says that the parish, the parishioners, the baptized, they are supposed to give evidence of the spirit of Christian community. So the seekers should be able to see in the actions of your parishioners what they believe about being Christian, what being Christian means to them. And I think for lots and lots of Catholics, that's basically like regular reminders, like putting stuff in the bulletin, homily comments, stuff on the website, mentioning stuff at parish council meetings, just to remind people, we need to really be different in the world. People need to notice that we're Catholic when we're out in the world.
People are watching.
Yes, people are watching. We forget that, I think, sometimes.
So the second way that the RCIA says that all parishioners can live their apostolic vocation is to have dinner. And it doesn't actually say that, but it says the parishioners, those within the apostolate of the laity, should be ready to welcome seekers into their homes. So that is not, Wednesday night parish meeting in the classroom. It's come on over to our home and let's have dinner together. Let's have coffee. Let's chat. And this is right at the beginning of a person's journey in the RCIA.
Period of evangelization, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as they show up, and we've done this in parishes. We play matchmaker, or we get parishioners to play matchmaker, and we say, particularly parishioners who know a lot of parishioners will say, could you make a list of 10 or 20 people who'd be willing to host a seeker in their home for dinner? And we get that list, and then we call them up or we email them and say, give me a date when you'd be able to host somebody. And then as soon as we get a seeker, we send them over for dinner. And that's all. There's no agenda. The host family doesn't have to be an expert in catechesis. They just have to be Catholics having dinner.
Yep, that's all.
Okay. All right, so the third thing, it's if you see a seeker, talk to a seeker. The rite says parishioners should, quote, welcome the seekers into personal conversation. Again, that's 9.1. So as RCI teams, I think we have to be creative about finding ways to begin these conversations. One thing that I notice, Diane and I both notice this, because we travel so much, we are often in somebody else's parish, someplace else in the country.
We're the newcomers.
We're always newcomers. Many Sundays out of the year, we're the newcomers. And folks in that parish don't know that we're Christian. They don't know that we're Catholic. They don't know that we teach about RCI. We're just a new face in their parish.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say 99.9% of the time, we never get welcomed. I mean, maybe the usher might shake our hand, or they'll hand us a bulletin and say, "Welcome to Saint So-and-so's."
Or here's the way that we're often welcomed. Sometime during the Mass, the priest will say, "Any visitors here?"
That happened in Nashville.
Up.
Yeah.
Stand up and let's welcome you. And everyone goes, "Yay."
Yeah.
Well, one, I never stand.
No, because I'm an introvert.
And so that doesn't feel welcoming to me. What would feel welcoming to me is if I'm wandering around and I look lost, somebody says, "Hey, can I help you find something? Oh, hey, I haven't seen you here. My name is," and they talk to me before Mass or after Mass. Or here's the number one thing. When I get into the pew and I sit next to somebody, that person actually looks at me and smiles at me and says hello. That's welcoming. So
simple things. And then you could ramp this up and teach your parishioners, and you can find techniques for this from your diocesan office or online. But, at Starbucks, talk to a stranger. In the grocery store, comment on something and begin conversations with strangers. That's kind of a next level thing. But lots of other denominations do that. That's how they attract people to their communities. So if you see a seeker, talk to a seeker. That's kind of the big thing. You can start out with a low stress, easy way to do it, and you can move up to higher challenges as you go. But begin these conversations.
And the last way that the RCIA says that the laity can exercise its apostolic vocation during this period of evangelization is show and tell. So it says that the community of the faithful should welcome seekers into its community gatherings. And so this is where it starts to say RCIA doesn't happen Wednesday night at 7:30. RCIA happens in your entire parish. So take your seekers, take your catechumens, take your candidates out to where the parish is already gathering. So that's the parish council meeting, that's the music ministry choir practice, that is the bake sale, that is the Knights of Columbus. Open up your bulletin, look at all of the meetings that are already happening in your parish, and then send your sponsors with their catechumens and candidates out there to see what God is doing in the life of the world through your parish. Because when you do all of that, when you do all of these four things, what's going to happen is your baptized, your parishioners will step up and live their vocation more visibly, more strongly, perhaps even more authentically. And that it becomes a model for your catechumens who are trying to learn how to do that. That becomes a reminder for your baptized candidates who are recalling what their baptism means. And that just strengthens everyone. That's what we're going for here. We're not making Catholics. We are making disciples of your entire parish.
All right, everyone, that's about all the time we have.
We got a freebie.
Yes, I was just going to say, we have a freebie that Diana's going to put right there in the comments box for you, and you can download that.
I'm getting there.
Go find it. Okay. So this is 3 extremely easy evangelization skills that anyone in your parish can master. So go get that freebie. Let's see. It's going to go right. It's not showing. Is it there?
No, it's not.
It's not showing up in the comments.
Anyways, we'll put it up there.
We'll put it up there.
It'll be there. It'll get there.
All right.
I think. I hope. All right.
And again, we'll be back here next week at every Tuesday at 11 a.m. on some new topic. If you have a topic you'd like us to talk about, you can email us at nick@teamrci.com.
Or just leave a comment here.
Leave a comment here, right?
All right.
If you can make the comments work.
I know. Okay, friends. Thank you for joining us today.
Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.